My name's Scott Anderton. I'm from Hopwood College in Manchester. We took a very brave decision. As Alistair said, we've been using Moodle for 5 years and not really had a great deal of impact with it. So I come from a previous college where we used Itslearning for relatively around about the same time of 5 years, and we had a significant impact there. So I made a very brave decision and switched it. Which you can imagine 700 staff weren't best pleased with the switch. However, when we actually implemented it and we showed it and when we actually allowed them to play with it, we got a completely different reaction. Now the reason is the big reason for it is the internet and the way that we use the internet. And the way that I was looking at Moodle is that we were tending to use our Moodle as a document repository. Very old-fashioned, very one-way, very much the birth of the internet rather than the internet as it is today. And the way that I foresaw Itslearning and how you can use Itslearning is because it's very highly interactive, it's collaborative, and it's social. And that's what we use the internet for. So it fits the bill in terms of the way that our learners are, the way that they use the computers on a daily basis, the way they use the smartphones and the tablets, etc. So Itslearning fit the bill. It was the perfect platform to enable us to do that. It also is a platform that allows us to mix the way that we deliver content, the way that we deliver our courses, and it also allows us to differentiate the way that we send our stuff out as well. Now, the platform is very, very flexible, and I can say from an administrator's point of view, if you are an administrator, the administration backend is very, very simple to use. But it means that we can actually deploy the platform in various different formats. There's lots of different skins to choose from, and we can actually limit the amount of options that each user sees, and we can actually personalize it to each individual. So when it comes to a blended approach, Itslearning fits the bill, and it ticks that box. It also means as well that when we've got the personalization side of it, because it can be accessed anywhere, and it's not hosted on our own servers, it means that our students can get it from anywhere in the world. So they can learn it any time that they want. Its uptime is phenomenal, it never goes down. So again, we've ticked another box in terms of the functionality of it. And I will say at this moment in time, one of the problems that we had with Moodle is that we were looking after the servers ourselves. The servers were getting to the point where they were running out of guarantee, and we usually had to restart them once every 2 days. And you can imagine over a Christmas period when nobody's in, those servers went down and we lost the VLE for a significant amount of time, which causes some frustration to our learners. Because we don't host it and because Itslearning look after it for us, they can access that any time that they want. The other side of it as well is the social aspect of it. Now, the communication side of Itslearning is one of its biggest selling points. As a learner, as soon as you log in, the information comes in as to what assignments are due, what new content's being added to it, and even communication between students in terms of mail and messages. It also exports your mail to any external email address that you put into the platform as well, so you don't have to be in the platform to actually receive updated information. But the communication side of it is absolutely essential, and our learners have actually appreciated that just in the 6 months that we've actually been operating the Itslearning itself. Now, as I was saying, Moodle, the way that we were using Moodle, and I'm sure quite a few people can appreciate this, was a one-way system, a document repository. We put it up as teachers, and then they take it out. There was actually nothing coming back. There was no assignments being dropped in. There was very little interactive testing going on. And the reason was, and when we canvassed the staff, the reason for it is it was too time-consuming and too difficult to do. So, again, played into my hands in the fact that Itslearning is very, very simple. Now, Itslearning does fit the Web 2 philosophy, as it can integrate most things. You won't have a problem actually putting YouTube videos into it, Prezis, PowerPoint, SlideShares, any of your interactive features, you won't have a problem actually integrating it into the platform, and you don't need to be a techie to do it. It's very simple, very straightforward editor, and anybody can do it with just some basic tuition. And I would say actually in terms of training, an hour's training on the basic tools, and that'll be enough. You can pick the rest up as you go along. It's very, very intuitive. It's probably like the iPad or the VLEs. The other side of it as well is it's looking at your actual learners and what Itslearning can do in terms of its power. And unlike most of us that are a slightly different generation to the children that we're actually teaching, we can pick up a book and we can find interest in a book, actually reading it for a change instead of actually trying to watch the movie. And that's what we call the native documents. However, if we give our kids the option, as we've got there, do you want to read the book or watch the film? Probably 90% of them will go and watch the film. So again, Itslearning allows us to do that because we can actually generate and push that media rate very easily. We can meet the demand thereafter. Now we've got some simple graphs basically to state why we made the switch. And as I've said before, the authoring side of Moodle was quite difficult. The training side of it was very time consuming, and to be honest, the result wasn't particularly fantastic. Since introducing Itslearning, we have only had it for 6 months. We've seen a dramatic increase in courses. In Moodle, we had 240 courses. In Itslearning, in 6 months, with 400. In terms of usage, we've actually increased our usage by 4 times what we had with Moodle. And that's just because there is content on there. There's something on there for kids to engage with, and that's not what they had before with Moodle. So in terms of authoring, we found that Moodle was difficult, Itslearning was easy. Navigation-wise, again, we used to get kids saying that they couldn't find things in Moodle. They find it very difficult to even log into it. The navigation side of Itslearning is very, very simple. Especially if you're used to Windows 7 and you've got the navigation tree down the side, down the left-hand side, Itslearning has the same navigation tree. It also has a drag and drop feature as well. So if you accidentally put a resource in the wrong place, just pick it up, drop it somewhere else, and again, you're up and running. And it's very, very simple. It takes seconds to be able to organise it. There is also a personalisation feature as well, where the kids can move blocks just by dragging and dropping them into another place, and then they can organise their own page so it suits their particular purpose. Again, the updates, the biggest problem that we had with Moodle again is that we had to do the updates ourselves. We had to go onto a Moodle forum to find out what worked, what didn't work. We waited with bated breath for Moodle 2 for 3 years and kept having it promised that it would be here, and it never arrived. When it actually did arrive, we found out only 4 applications actually worked with it. So we had to revert back to our old 9-point versions. With Itslearning, we don't have to worry about that. The updates take place by them, they push the updates out, and back in November they actually launched a new skin. We waited with bated breath throughout the Thursday for the new skin to arrive, and come 4 o'clock, a quick flick of the screen and the new skin was there. No interruption, no downtime in service, it just appeared. And actually we got no complaints, which for me is fantastic. The tools side of it as well is Itslearning is very rich in its tool environment, and again it's one of those things that with Moodle you had to search through the forums and through the list to try and bring in new tools to be able to create interactive content. There is a wide range of tools within Itslearning itself. Each one of the tools uses a very simple HTML editor, and that editor appears throughout the platform. Once you get used to the HTML editor, which to be honest looks like Word, once you're used to that, you're fine, and like say 10-15 minutes on the editor and you've pretty much sussed it. The way that the tools work, and I actually tried this as well with Moodle, I tried to create a multifunctional test where we've got different things like multiple choice, drag and drop, hotspots, open answer questions, and it took me about 3 hours to create it. In Itslearning I created exactly the same test and I did it in 10 minutes. So in terms of like teaching staff and the amount of time that you've got to create your content, well, you can create it very, very quickly and get a very, very robust assessment tool. Also from a teacher side of it as well, you've got a fantastic reporting procedure and suite behind that, where the reports, you as a teacher can get an overview, you can drill down into each individual's performance, but not only that as well, students and parents get access to it and they can get the relevant information from it. And there is an ILP tool. There's also an attendance sheet and various other aspects to it. But it's more than just a learning platform. It is actually, it has other elements to it as well. Just as a comparison, what we're saying is we're looking at it over 1 month, and this was actually within the first month that we launched it with our students. The comparison between Itslearning and Moodle is quite startling, and that trend has continued. That's not just September, it's carried on. October we saw another dramatic rise, and we usually get at any one time around about 200 people in the platform. Even at night time, we're still getting significant figures of 30 to 40 people every 15 minutes. We do have a couple of really odd students though that seem to be on it at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. Quite what they're doing at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I really don't know. Okay, and as you can see, these are some of the figures that we've got from September onwards. And you can see that October has had a rise, November a slight dip, but we did have half term within November as well. So, and a few internet issues within the college. And again, December we actually calculated that we actually only had 2 weeks in December out of a possible 5. And out of those 2 weeks, we calculated that if we'd have had the 5 full weeks, given the levels that we were at, we probably would have doubled the amount of October. And certainly we're seeing that now in January. Our statistics are showing that we actually are going to blitz the October figures. So in terms of engagement, we've actually succeeded in a very short time actually engaging 700 staff and 4,000 learners into the platform. And we've had very, very little in terms of people moaning and not wanting to use it, but actually getting a lot of feedback about, positive feedback about how easy it is to use, how simple it is to navigate, and also from the student's point of view, it's actually interesting.